Are you yearning for freedom and hope in the face of adversity? The sands of Egypt shimmered under a relentless sun. A lone figure, Moses, returned after years of exile. He carried with him the word of God and a heart filled with hope for his people, the Israelites yearning for freedom. Before Pharaoh, the God-king, Moses stood, a staff in his hand. "Let my people go," he commanded, his voice echoing with unwavering conviction. Pharaoh, eyes cold and heart unmoved, scoffed. "Who is this God that I should obey him?" he challenged, his voice dripping with disdain. The Israelites, their backs bent under the yoke of slavery, watched with a flicker of hope. Would this be their deliverance? The Nile, lifeblood of Egypt, turned crimson, not with the hues of sunset, but with the power of divine intervention. Fish floated lifeless, the air thick with the stench of change. Pharaoh remained unmoved, his heart hardening like the desert stones. Then came the frogs. Hordes of them, slimy and croaking, overran the land. They invaded homes, fields, even Pharaoh's palace, a living, hopping sign of change. Still, Pharaoh's heart was a stone. Lice followed, a torment upon man and beast. They swarmed, tiny and relentless, driving the Egyptians to distraction. But Pharaoh, stubborn and proud, would not relent. The line between land and sky blurred as swarms of flies descended. They blackened the sun, buzzed in ears, and spread their filth on every surface. The Egyptians choked on their sheer number, yet Pharaoh's resolve held firm. Then a pestilence swept through the land, striking down livestock with agonizing swiftness. The cries of dying animals filled the air, a symphony of suffering. Pharaoh, though shaken, clung to his defiance. But Moses' faith and determination never wavered, inspiring hope and resilience in the hearts of the Israelites. Boils erupted on the skin of the Egyptians, fiery and agonizing. The air crackled with their pain as they cried out for relief. Even Pharaoh's magicians, their bodies covered in sores, acknowledged the power of the Hebrew God. But Pharaoh, his heart a fortress of pride, refused to yield. Then came the hail. A tempestuous storm unleashed its fury, raining down icy stones that shattered rooftops, splintered trees, and pounded the land into submission. Yet Pharaoh's heart, like the hailstones themselves, remained hardened. Locusts, an insatiable horde, descended upon Egypt. They devoured every green thing, stripping fields bare and leaving behind a desolate wasteland. Famine threatened, yet Pharaoh, his spirit unbroken, refused to free the Israelites. Darkness, absolute and impenetrable, enveloped the land. For 3 days Egypt was plunged into an abyss, a tangible darkness that chilled the soul. Fear, cold and suffocating, gripped the hearts of the Egyptians. Still, Pharaoh, shrouded in darkness both literal and metaphorical, refused to relent. The final plague, a whisper of death in the night, arrived. The firstborn of every Egyptian family, from the lowliest servant to the Pharaoh himself, perished. The cries of mourning parents echoed through the darkened streets, a heart-wrenching lament. Finally, overwhelmed by grief and fear, Pharaoh relented. His pride shattered, his spirit broken, he summoned Moses. "Go," he whispered, his voice trembling with sorrow. "Leave my land. Take your people and your God and go." The Israelites, their faces etched with years of hardship, could scarcely believe their ears. Was this truly the end of their long captivity? They gathered their meager belongings, needing unleavened bread for the journey, their hearts pounding with a mixture of anticipation and hope. The Exodus began, a tide of humanity flowing out of Egypt. They moved with urgency, their steps light despite the weight of their burdens. The memory of their suffering spurred them onward, the promise of freedom a beacon in their hearts. Behind them, the Red Sea shimmered, a seemingly insurmountable obstacle. Ahead, the unknown beckoned, filled with both peril and promise. The ground trembled. The Egyptians, their chariots kicking up dust devils, were in relentless pursuit. Pharaoh, his grief giving way to anger, had reneged on his word. Fear gripped the Israelites. Were they to be trapped between the sea and the vengeful Egyptians? Moses raised his staff with unwavering faith. The sea, as if obeying a divine command, parted majestically. Walls of water rose, revealing a path, dry land shimmering under the desert sun. The Israelites, their eyes wide with awe and disbelief, stepped onto the seabed with newfound hope. They walked confidently between the towering walls of water, the ground firm beneath their feet. The Egyptians, emboldened by rage and blinded by their pursuit, charged into the passage. Above, a pillar of fire lit the way, a beacon of hope for the fleeing Israelites. Behind them, the waters churned, the Egyptians swallowed by the depths they themselves had once controlled. The Israelites had crossed, their freedom secured by a divine miracle. Their epic exodus complete, they stood on the shores of a new land, ready to face the future with hearts filled with gratitude and awe.